With the use of the multi-currency system up until the current negative economic fundamentals have been addressed to give credence to the introduction of the local currency. The economic fundamentals that need to be met are a sustainable fiscal position, foreign currency reserves of between 3 to 6 months of import cover, and sustainable consumer and business confidence. These economic fundamentals are yet to be made to justify the introduction of our own currency. In order to bring sanity in the foreign currency market, my government, through the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, has negotiated a number of foreign exchange facilities amounting to US 500 million that are intended to meet the growing demand for foreign currency by business and the public in general. Some of these facilities shall be dispersed this week to meet the expanding demand for foreign currency that continues to be sustained by fiscal imbalances, which my government has made a great commitment to redress. Furthermore, my government will, with renewed urgency and vigor, continue to drive a high-performance culture within all public entities. All public servants are henceforth required to change their work ethics to ensure the efficient and prudent use of public resources. Responsiveness, accountability, as well as timely, impartial, and equitable delivery of goods and services to our people. The lethargic and non-implementation of government policies, projects, and programs will not be acceptable. Our bureaucrats must be committed to deliver. We will vehemently fight bureaucratic red tape and bottlenecks. Equally, state-owned enterprises have an obligation to operate profitably and cannot continue to be a burden to the fiscus. We will therefore be implementing the cabinet decision to streamline some of our public entities to bring about greater focus, coherence, efficiency, effectiveness, ease and cost of doing business, and a better service delivery to our people. To this end, the creation of a more competitive and business-friendly environment must be given greater impetus by all relevant institutions. We will not pay lip service to this matter. Reforms must be real. Meanwhile, I challenge the private sector to be honest, ethical, and honorable in their business dealings. Madam President and Mr. Speaker, agriculture remains a key sector in the resuscitation and the growth of our economy. The restructured Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Water, Climate, and Rural Resettlement will have an accelerated, more coordinated and composite approach to the modernization and mechanization of our agriculture sector. As we quest to achieve maximum land utilization for increased productivity, there is need for strategic and concise planning, development and use of our water bodies throughout the country. We will be pursuing further investments and cooperation in this respect. We note the ongoing increased production of maize, wheat, and cotton. In line with our industrialization agenda, the revival and development of vibrant agro-based industries along the various agro value chains, such as cereals, cotton, vegetables, horticulture, fruits, meat and dairy products, among others, will be encouraged. Government remains aware of the challenges that face our manufacturing sector. We are committed to ease this pressure through increased foreign currency disbursements. Meanwhile, we must continue to scale up the value addition and beneficiation drive to ensure Zimbabwe enters the regional, continental, and global value chains. The mining sector remains yet another key component of our economic recovery program. The production performance of gold, platinum, and chrome subsectors are encouraging. My administration will facilitate further revival of the sector and broaden the range of minerals exploited. Government will continue to facilitate the acquisition and use of appropriate, modern, efficient, and adaptable technologies by our small-scale miners to increase efficiency and output, especially in gold production. We must take full advantage of our country's lithium and coal-based methane reserves to seek cooperation and investment and become a center for research, development, and the manufacturing of green energy solutions. The development and modernization of our roads, railways, airports, energy and ICT infrastructure will be accelerated. This must, however, be in sync with our domestic realities, as well as the ongoing quest for SADC and Africa as a whole for enhanced connectivity and integrated infrastructure. The tourism sector continues to make notable improvements. There is indeed, however, to improve tourism infrastructure, product range, quality, and pricing of our products to make them more competitive. Stakeholders in this sector are encouraged to leverage on partnerships with other successful tourist destinations in the region to jointly market products and available in our country. Cities such as Bulawayo are challenged to consider marketing the opportunities around meeting and event tourism, taking into account the presence of the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair facilities. SMEs, women and youth have an important role to play in the modernization, growth, and subsequent industrialization of our national economy. These groups are equally essential in increased job creation, innovation, environmental sustainability, and a more inclusive growth. My government will hasten the improvement of the institutional regulatory framework for this sector through deliberate and sensitive policies which tap into the entrepreneurial zeal and business dynamism of these important groupings. We will be consolidating their access to finance through the Zimbabwe Women's Microfinance Bank and Empower Bank, among other instruments. The need for modern education and health infrastructure cannot be overemphasized. We will seek incremental investments in our social services sector to achieve our desired goals. As our economy grows, we shall ensure that the requisite social safety nets are in place for the more vulnerable members of our society. The constitutionally enshrined provisions of devolution of government powers and responsibilities will be implemented. I urge us all, however, to use this opportunity to drive economic development and inclusive growth within our respective localities. Provinces must strive to have diverse economic activities and seek to have distinct provincial GDPs. Sustainable development cannot be achieved without a good, clean society. As government, we will continue to entrench transparency, accountability, and good governance in all public entities and institutions of our country. As I stated in my inauguration speech, no person or entity will be allowed to steal, loot, or pocket that which belongs to the people of Zimbabwe. No one is above the law. I urge us all, as public officials, to lead by example and be beyond reproach. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, in view of the above, The legislative agenda of this 9th Parliament must therefore seek to give greater impetus to our ambitions and yet achievable economic agenda. A cross-section of bills will be tabled, debated, and enacted in this House. These include the following: the Companies and Other Entities Bill, which will overhaul the Companies Act; the Regional Town and Country Planning Amendment Bill, which seeks to reduce the time and procedures for processing construction permits; the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency Bill, which seeks to consolidate various pieces of legislation on investment which are presently spread under various acts. The bill will also provide for the establishment of a one-stop investment center, the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency. The Citizenship of Zimbabwe Act and the Immigration Act shall be amended. The Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill will be retabled to address some inadequacies therein, and they will further provide for online registration of mining rights and title. The Gold Trade Bill and the Precious Stones Trade Bill, which seeks to curb leakages of precious minerals, will also be tabled. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, the bill to establish the Institute of Education, Research, Innovation and Development will be tabled to align with the program on value addition and import substitution strategies. A consumer protection bill shall be introduced to protect our consumers from unfair trade practices and abuse of supplies of substandard goods. In line with our determination to further open up our media space, the bill for the establishment of a Zimbabwe Media Commission and an amendment to the Broadcasting Service Act shall be tabled. To mitigate the security risks and the cybercrime-related threats, a cybercrime and a cybersecurity bill shall be tabled before this Parliament. This shall also be supported by the introduction of the Data Protection Bill, as well as the Electronic Transactions and Electronic Commercial Bill. The Labour Amendment Bill will be brought to this House for discussion and approval. This must be in tandem with the ongoing ease and the cost of doing business reforms, and equally seek an intricate balance between labor productivity and workplace harmony. The Cooperative Society Amendment Bill will be tabled to strengthen the regulation of cooperatives in the country. The Tripartite Negotiating Forum Bill, which aims to facilitate participatory development by fostering greater collaboration between all social partners, will also be brought for consideration by this august House. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, the alignment of our laws to the Constitution, which became necessary as a consequence of the adoption of the current Constitution, remains a work in progress, notwithstanding the strides made in the previous sessions. This Parliament is thus expected to, inter alia, consider the following: the Coroner's Bill, which provides for the establishment of the Coroner's Office; the Constitutional Court Bill, which, among other things, seeks to confer additional responsibilities to the Constitutional Court; the Customary Law and the Local Courts Bill, which provides for the expulsion of harmful cultural practices for customary law; the High Court Amendment Bill, which will provide for a clear appeals and referral procedures from the High Court to the Constitutional Court and establish their jurisdictional matters. Furthermore, the Rural District Councils Bill, intended to give rural councils greater autonomy as enshrined in the Constitution, shall be tabled in this august House. The Traditional Leaders Act will be amended to bring into line with the Constitution, and more particularly to provide for the establishment of provincial assemblies. The Provincial and Metropolitan Councils Bill will facilitate the devolution of governmental powers and responsibilities to provincial and local authorities. Through this bill, provincial and metropolitan councils will be reconfigured in accordance with Chapter 14 of the Constitution. This will further seek to facilitate enhanced coordination between central government, provincial councils, and local authorities within the context of the Decentralization and Devolution Program. In addition, the Public Finance Amendment Act will be amended to facilitate the allocation of sufficient resources for basic and social services and economic development at the local level. Meanwhile, the Forest Amendment Bill will be tabled for consideration by this Parliament to provide for measures to effectively foster the sustainable management of the country's forestry resource. My government will bring for ratification by this Parliament the Kigali Amendment to the Nagoya-Kuala Lumpur Supplemental Protocol on Stability and redress to the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety, the accession to the additional protocol to the agreements between states and International Atomic Energy Agency for the application of safeguards, the accession to the Joint Convention on the safety of spent fuel management and the safety of radioactive waste management, the accession to the Convention on the physical protection of nuclear material, the accession to the Convention on assistance in the case of nuclear accident or radiology emergency, and the accession to the Convention on the early notification of a nuclear accident. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, our society continues to face the challenges associated with human trafficking. To help deal with this social ill, my government has already endorsed some protocols which now await ratification by this Parliament. These include the protocol against the smuggling of immigrants by land, sea, and air, and the protocol against the illicit manufacturing and trafficking in firearms, their parts, components, and ammunition. This Parliament is also expected to consider the Child Justice Bill and the Marriages Bill, which seek to provide a child justice system and outlaw child marriages, respectively. The mandatory sentencing for rape and the sexual abuse bill shall be considered by this Parliament. Madam Speaker, Madam President, Mr. Speaker, my government stands committed to deepen its democratic values and aspirations for the prosperity of our country. We will continue to engage all cooperating partners to harness our full potential. The ongoing reopening of lines of credit from cooperating partners will undoubtedly help the retooling of our industries and creation of more jobs across various sectors of our economy. On its part, government will continue to ensure policy consistency, transparency, and predictability underpinned by fiscal discipline, hard, honest work, and responsive bureaucracy. My government is indeed gravely perturbed by the current outbreak of waterborne diseases, such as cholera and typhoid, in some parts of our country. It is regrettable that this has resulted in the wanton loss of life. Let us, as a nation, commit to permanently eradicate these medieval diseases, mainly through addressing the challenges related to clean water and sanitation provision, as well as sustainable waste management practices. Going forward, government and local authorities will be seized with this issue. In this regard, the enforcement of the Public Health Act, which I recently assented to, shall be imperative. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, the election period is decisively behind us. It is now time for us as members of Parliament and political leaders to exert our efforts towards delivering on the pledges we made the electorate. Our people Our people have reposed their trust and confidence in us, with the firm hope that we can bring a positive difference to their lives. It is incumbent upon us all to unite our citizens and galvanize them towards the attainment of economic prosperity and our Vision 2030. As this august House settles down to serious work, I wish to implore all members to always act in the national interest and they preach the gospel of peace, the gospel of love and harmony, tolerance and hard work and honest work. Let us all unflinchingly commit to the rebuilding of our nation as one people, united by one flag and one national anthem. I exhort you all to undertake the legislative task before you as servant leaders, emboldened by the people's mandate which you each carry. History will judge us harshly should we renege on the sacrosanct duty to uplift the livelihoods of our people. Madam President, Mr. Speaker, I now therefore, with honor and humility, place these matters before you and declare the first session of the 9th Parliament of Zimbabwe officially opened. God bless you all. God bless Zimbabwe. I thank you.
At Sly Media Productions, we offer live streaming services to companies willing to reach a worldwide audience. We bring you live studio interactive talk shows and interviews.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast.
It is sad to note that every day in our local papers there is a case of rape. Are the current penalties not good enough to stop perpetrators from committing crime?
But as we close, I've also seen or read in the newspaper that there are some people who are leaving your party. Why?
We live stream news press conferences as it happens.
We always last longer because we are revolutionaries, we are guerrillas. And today we have proved that we last longer. These neophytes who were using a marriage certificate of a married woman and a senior old man to try to take power.
Our engagement with ZEC, which is very clear, that ZEC has shown that they are not willing to be open to dialogue. They are stubborn and arrogant. They are opaque in their processes.
We have the capacity to live stream debates from various locations for a wide range of clients.
Welcome to this public seminar that has been organized by the Institute for Security Studies in partnership with SAPES Trust and myself, Violet Gonda. We will start the first half with a question and answer segment where I will ask our panelists some questions, and then in the second half we will actually take questions from the floor, and also if there are any contributions from our viewers at home who are watching on social media, we'll also do the same. We are live streaming on our Facebook, on the Sly Media Productions Facebook page.
So, coming to the issue of elections, there is jurisprudence that election petitions are not decided on numbers only. They are decided on numbers, or they are decided by the environment. If the court finds that the elections were not free and fair, as the first hurdle, the matter must end there, and the election must be vitiated.
The way you see that there was never a plan to win this petition legally is how it was framed. First order that he wanted, a declaration that the election was not free or fair. Second sentence, make me president. How do you do that? If it was not free or fair, how does the court make you president?
We follow them and help build Zimbabwe brand on a positive note. When you think of reaching the ever-growing internet audience with your video adverts, think Sly Media TV Online. If you want to pre-package TV programs, documentaries, weddings and church services, think Sly Media Productions, building bridges. Your TV on the go, anytime, anywhere, worldwide. At Sly Media Productions, we offer live streaming services to companies willing to reach a